What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Uncommon Build, and we are back with another video. Let's get into the video. I have swapped out my tires. The check engine light actually went off, and then out of nowhere the light came right back on. So we're going to basically diagnose the SRT8. I have postponed wrapping the SRT8, so that video will be coming soon, but we have got to figure out what is going on with the SRT8. The car hasn't had any issues since I've gotten it, other than when the engine blew on me and we got that replaced, or not replaced, but we got that rebuilt. Now I'm about to diagnose to see what is going on with the SRT8 and the check engine light. So we're basically going to connect the OBD reader to the actual terminal underneath the dashboard, and we're going to see what actually is going on. And hopefully it's something that's simple. If not, then I guess we'll move on to plan B. But moral of this is trying to fix it myself instead of taking it somewhere. I have a hard time trusting shops as far as the mechanical work, anything electrical, all that kind of stuff. If I can figure it out and pretty much save myself a ton of money, guess what? I'm pretty much going to do that. So the most important piece when and or if you are building a car or you're trying to learn your car, you can probably learn a lot more off of YouTube and watching tutorials and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't know what you're doing or you're not comfortable, seek professional help. That's all I got to say. Seek professional help. But a lot of the work that I've done on the SRT8 already, minus the rebuild on the engine, is I have replaced the suspension pretty much. I have replaced the thermostat. I've replaced the cold air intake. I have replaced the actuator. And if you don't know what the actuator is, it is actually the ignition switch that actually goes and helps your car turn on and or off. That actually completely, I don't know, for some reason, when I pulled it out, it shredded. And I learned all that stuff from pretty much looking on YouTube. What else have I done? What else? I installed an amp. I installed a radio. Nothing really major has gone on with this car. Oh, something happened with something with the brakes or whatever. I learned how to do all that too. The only thing that I don't know 100% is the engine, but I am learning that piece by piece. And the 6.1 engine seems to be a fairly easy engine that you could take apart and probably rebuild back together. Now, again, like I said, you got to learn your car. Help you save money on top of that. And second, at least you know what is going on. Because if it is something that is serious, or maybe not even serious, I've had situations where some of my family members have been almost taken advantage of, or have been taken advantage of. Instead of fixing that one part, they say they found something else, and the next, they're charging you all this money. So it is very good to know your own vehicle. So we are actually going to go in and diagnose or troubleshoot what this code is possibly popping up, because I have not had any check engine light other than the issue with the tire or whatever it is, which I thought was very odd and strange. It went off, and then all of a sudden now it just popped back on. So we're going to basically see what the code is. If you do not have one of these things are fairly cheap. Okay. This is your OBD2 reader. And it's basically going to go underneath the dash underneath here. I got to remove something that's actually down there now. And this basically is going to read the codes. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of. And yes, my SRT8 is an automatic. I wish it was a manual, but it is what it is. In due time. All right. So now we're going to basically connect this down at the bottom, just the OBD2 port. I have to find that. It is connected. What is it saying? Can y'all see what it says? No, y'all can't see. I think it's way down low. But we're going to go ahead and turn the ignition on once again. So we're trying to diagnose why my check engine light is on now. All right. So if you do not have one of these, you can buy this off of Amazon. I think I spent like 20 bucks, 19 bucks. They're fairly cheap. There's some that are very, very expensive, and I don't know why you would need anything too expensive, but very, very price friendly. You can't really see the screen. See if I can zoom in. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to see that screen at all. But we're gonna go ahead and diagnose and see what's going on. So it says OBD2 OE or EOBD code reader OBD2. You've got the scroll button here that gives you the setup, which y'all can't see. Like I said, you got enter that'll actually scan the code of the car. So let's go ahead and hit enter, and we're going to see what the code is going to pop up. It's calibrating. Codes found. So it has one code. Let me see if I can try to get this captured. There it goes right there. It's very faint. Let's see if we can kind of get that up. So it's got red codes. So we're going to hit enter. We're going to hit engine. And it's a PO455. Evaporator emission system leak detected. Large leak. That is not good. So there's a couple things that we can definitely look at and try. I see 1 out of 3. What's the other? Let's scroll. System 2 lean bank 1. That's because there's really no gas in the car. And then evaporation. So that's the main thing, is the evaporator emission system leak detected. This could be very costly, or it could be a simple fix. All right, so we're going to basically pop this hood. And there's a couple things that we're going to look at when it comes to the evaporation emission system. If you do not know what that is, I'll explain it. Your evap system is basically your emission control system. So your gas vapors, instead of it basically being released into the atmosphere, it actually gets rerouted and worked back into the engine to pretty much burn. And if any one of those components, because there's quite a couple different components, are messed up or they're not sealed properly, that vacuum is pretty much lost, and then that's when you're going to get that check engine light. It could be quite a few different things. It could be your fuel lines, not fuel lines. It could be your hose lines. You could have a leak in that. Your canister, which is your charcoal canister. There's your pump that detects whether or not you have a serious leak or a small leak. And then the other thing is this thing right here. So I don't know if we can see that. Let me see if I can turn the light on in here. Okay, well, nope, it's not gonna let me. All right, so is this piece right in here. I'm gonna disconnect this, and I wanna say that's the valve. And this also is connected down into the engine here with these holes in these lines. So let me see if I can get some light in here. All right, there we go, that's better. So this is your valve right here, right? It almost looks like a blow-off valve for a turbo, but there's no turbo in here. This is all 6.1 natural aspirator. Later on though. But if you can see that valve right here, this is also something that you can pretty much check. This is one part of the component. So you have the valve, then you have the hoses that actually run from this down into the engine, which I'll have to see if I can look down there and see if there's any cracks, which I don't think there is, because that's saying a large leak. It's not a small leak, it's a large leak. So there could be something seriously wrong with some of these major components that help operate and help basically flow that flow the vapors back into the engine so that way they can burn. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take this out. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect that. So there's this little red tab, if you can see right here. You got to push this to the left, and then you need to press down. There's a little tab on this. You press down, if y'all can see my hand, and it'll just come right out. And you got to be careful not to seriously damage that. And then we've got the hose lines, which I'm going to disconnect those. There's 1 and 2. All right. And then we're going to lift the valve out. Okay. So we're pretty much going to inspect to see if we see any damage or anything. I don't see anything crazy, but you can definitely smell the gas vapors in there. This does look okay, but then again, I'm not too sure. This is a 2007, so it could be worn. But I already went ahead and actually ordered one of these. And I can tell you right now, this was not easy to find for a 2007 Dodge Charger SRT8. It took me a minute to find it, and I will showcase the price of what I paid for this. These are originally $110. Literally $110, probably more depending on where you're at. It could be less, but over here in Atlanta, I'm looking online, this small piece is $110, but I got it on sale. I guess, I don't know, but I only spent like 60 bucks. So that's a win. But I'm going to go ahead and put this back on here. And technically, I don't really see any other issues down in here. It's kind of hard without having a light down in here. So sorry about that, guys. I don't see any other issue. This line is pretty much fine. The wiring is pretty much fine in here. I don't see any major issues. Now, I'll have to get back here to look at the hose line because the line actually goes down in the bottom down there where the engine is. So I'm going to look at that because I can't squeeze my phone in my hand down at the same time. But this could very well be the issue here, one of the problems. And it is a 2007 Dodge Charger SRT8, so things wear out. And what, we're 2025, so this car's pretty old, but this could be one of the problems. So I'm gonna leave that right there. The other issue could be your gas cap being loose. Now, this is actually a brand new gas cap. I took the original out already and put in a new gas cap to basically make sure that the seal is proper. As you can see how clean that is. It is a brand new gas cap. The other one was kind of hard to tell, but it's been the same gas cap on this car since 2007 when this car was made. So I was like, you know, what the hell? I'll go ahead and change out the gas cap because that's also part of wire check engine light could possibly come on, is because that seal on the gas cap is either warped, worn, and it's not sucking in the air, not sucking in the air, but it's not vacuuming like it's supposed to route those vapors back to the block. So it's some of the vapors are basically escaping. So that's new. So not only did I replace this, but I actually have a new valve coming in for the SRT8, which will be here in a couple days. We're going to change that out. Now, the other thing that I will have to look at, which I'd have to jack this car up and take this wheel off. I've got to find the actual pump detection, which should be closest to, see if we can get up underneath this car, the gas cap, the gas tank. And I don't know if I'll be able to squeeze in here. Yeah. Okay. Didn't think so. So I'm going to definitely have to take this wheel off. And when I do that, I guess we'll go up in there and see if we can actually find the part that I'm looking for. And if that pump detection is out of whack or warped in any kind of way, then that needs to be replaced as well. And then you have the charcoal canister. So it's a lot of different parts. But I'm betting my money that it's probably going to be that actual pump that's actually causing the detection light to come on. And I have not driven this in probably about since my birthday, which was like 420. So May, June. So it's kind of weird that now all of a sudden I've got an evap leak somewhere. And I think the last thing I did was I actually got gas in this. So it could be my gas cap, but again, I don't know. Like I said, this is a 2007 Dodge Charger SRT8. And we are going to basically be replacing a lot of those components. The only thing I may not replace is the charcoal canister. I think that's fine, but mainly overall the pumps that actually help regulate that flow to push it back into the engine. We're going to replace those because I feel like those are pretty much worn, and the gas cap. And it could just be mainly the pump, but I want to go ahead and replace all that. The lines look perfectly fine. There's no issues with the lines. The only downfall, though, when you have an older car, especially if it's a performance vehicle, is trying to find the correct parts. I can't tell you how many different advanced autos or auto zones I've been to try to find all of these. I was lucky enough to find the valve, and even that took me some time to try to find online. So now is trying to find that actual detection pump, and hopefully I can find it today so that I can go ahead and fix everything on the SRT8, because I need to get this car out, and it should not be sitting any longer than it has to. And then I'll be bringing more content. The main piece of this video, guys, is you have to learn your car. If you don't learn your car, you are not going to be able to fix anything that could be potentially the easiest fix for you, and to also help you save money. I know we've got mechanics out there. Yeah, hey, you want to give your money to a mechanic? Great, awesome, more power to you. But sometimes when you go into these shops, they try to find more problems that really aren't problems to begin with. They're going to charge you more money. So I'm learning as I go along with this build, and I have definitely fixed quite a bit of stuff on this SRT8, minus doing the SRT8 engine rebuild. That's coming in the works, where I'm learning that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get this tire off, and then I will be back with you guys, and we will look at this detection pump and see if there's really something wrong with it. Since now that we have the valve pretty much removed, you're actually going to find the pump detection on the rear passenger side. And the only issue is with mine, I mean, any Dodge Charger 06, V6, RT, SRT8, the hard part is actually getting this part off, because down here, I don't know, these aren't budging for me. So I was able to still get it off because my car is lowered and I actually had that cut. It's kind of hard to see up there because there's not really much any light, but this is where your pump is actually going to be. This is what it's actually going to look like right here. This actually does look a little worn, and this is basically what regulates the signal here. I don't see any damage on this O-ring, but we're going to go take this to an AutoZone Advanced Auto and see if I can find a replacement, because I'm having a hard time trying to find this exact piece online for some reason. And even if me putting it in my vehicle, it's telling me that none of them fit this car, even though they look exactly like this. But it's best to just go ahead and take it in, and then we'll basically deal with that. But this should fix the issue. Like I said, I'm pretty much going to replace all of it. But I think this is the main portion that's basically saying that there's a huge or a large leak, because this is not operating or functioning properly like it should. And this is a 2007, so this thing is old as hell. You can look at it and tell. So we've already replaced the gas cap. I have put in a order for the valve, except for the hoses. The hoses are actually in really good condition, and then the canister, which is the main part here. You can't really see it right here. It's gonna probably look like poor quality in the video, but this canister right here, this is actually still in very good condition, so I do not need to replace that. But I might later on. So we're gonna go ahead and take this, and we're gonna go and head to an Advanced Auto and see if we can basically get this pump, or I'm sure there's a similar one to this, but apparently I think these are used all the way up until the 2023 models, but I could be wrong from what I read. But I don't know. We're definitely gonna see, because it took me a minute to find that valve, guys. And then not only that, I also found another issue on the SRT8 that I did not, or was not expecting. And this is going to probably be a costly repair. But again, I save a lot of money by doing everything myself and learning how to do it. And brace yourself, because this is probably so unexpected. But if you look, can you see up here? Right here. I don't think this is supposed to do this. Now, y'all tell me yes or no. Look at that. That boot is completely busted. And when I come up here, check this out. Whoop. Look at that. Boo-boo skidoo. This one right here is also busted. If y'all can see that. That one's also busted right there. And I actually did that jacking the car up by mistake, so that's on me. But I already have a replacement for this. So we're going to go ahead and replace that, but it's not going to be on today's video. But that's crazy. I swear it's one thing after the other. All right, so now that that is taken care of, we have taken the actual pump out. I have taken the valve out. I'm going to probably put the valve back in until I get my new one in, because I don't think anything is wrong with the valve. But like I said, I wanted to replace the pump, the valve, and the gas cap. I want to replace all three of those, because there's nothing else wrong with the charcoal canister, and there's nothing wrong with the actual hoses, because I checked that. Everything seems to be fine from what I could see. That does not make the check engine light go off. Then I have no choice but to do a smoke test on those pipelines, just to make sure. I got dirt on my face. On those lines, just to make sure that there's not a small leak or crack somewhere. I didn't see anything after following it. I didn't see anything wrong with the hoses, and that'll probably be something else that's going to probably be hard to try to find for the SRT8. But we're going to go and try to find this canister, guys. And again, you have got to learn your car. If you do not learn your car, and you are a person that likes to build your own, that's building your own car, you know, engine and all that, you got to learn it. And if you got to hop on YouTube or Google search engine or whatever it is you got to do it. You're going to save yourself a ton of money. First and foremost, I save myself a ton of money every single time I find something wrong with the SRT8. And everything that I have so far fixed on this SRT8, down from the suspension to some of the engine components, some of the interior, as far as, like I said, the actuator, the key ignition switch, the radio, you pretty much name it. Now we're getting ready to do this pump situation, the vapor, the evap system, and then basically we're going to move on from there. So like I said, learn your own car, do it. And if you struggle, or if it's gotten to a point where you get frustrated, then just seek professional help. Just make sure that wherever you're taking this car, that mechanic is trustworthy, because they're going to try to find more than one thing wrong, and technically there really isn't. So thank God I only have that P0455 code, and that's the only thing that's showing up here. I'm going to go ahead and head to the Advanced Auto, wherever I'm going to get this part from. Hopefully I can find it. Like I said, it took me a minute to drive from store to store, and they didn't have it. So now that I actually have the actual pump, I can kind of mash it up with, hopefully, even if it says that it doesn't fit, I can actually look at it and say, okay, well, this is definitely going to work for this SRT8. And if it doesn't, then I'm not going to buy it. But we're going to go ahead and get this taken care of. And that will be it for today's video, guys. We would basically do an update on the SRT after I fix this and repair it. and we will see if that check engine light completely eliminates. And that's going to be it for today's video, guys. See you on the next one. See you when I see you. Peace.